All right, let's roll. Hello, welcome to Off Topic. That's not really our name. If we look to see, is that? I'm sure that's used.
Probably.
Yeah.
Officially, yeah. We could call it Off Topic unofficially, but
we're so late into the podcast game. There's no good names left.
Yeah.
That's what we should call it. The No Good Name Podcast. That's probably available.
I would imagine, yeah, probably. That just proves our point. No good name.
Actually, I think we should come up with an acronym for not another two white guys giving their opinion.
We're just, yeah.
It's the last thing the world needs.
Yeah. But here we are anyways.
Yeah, that's right. Fuck it. Woo! All right, what are we getting into first day? You got quite the impressive stack of stuff today.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot going on this week, and I think there's a million other things we could talk about. So we kind of have to pick a few and kind of roll with it. Or else we'd be here all day and not even get through anything. So I just want to start off some light, so some sports related. So the draft was this past week, and I
racist.
I myself really don't get that much into the draft, which is why I was extra confused when Shedeur Sanders was not getting picked.
Yeah.
Because I was always under the impression all of last year during the college football season and up until the draft that Shedeur Sanders, like, it was kind of like without question that he'd be drafted in the first round.
Yep.
And so it didn't go in the first round and caught me off guard. And then second round didn't go. And then third, fourth, and I think in the fifth round he finally got picked. Number 144.
Yeah, he was the sixth quarterback picked, right?
Yeah, sixth.
And this reminded me of the one of my favorite documentaries of all time, which is the Brady Six. And it's where they go through the six quarterbacks that were all picked before Brady. And none of them were Brady.
Yeah, I think that situation would be a lot different than something like this because I guess I didn't realize the full extent to how much the off the field issues were.
Oh yeah,
and then some of the reports that are coming out about some of the stuff that happened in the pre-draft interview process, how bad he was in it.
Oh yeah, no, he is being scorched.
Yeah, and by bad I really mean just kind of arrogance, entitlement, blame shifting. So basically, a lot of what you don't want in a teammate or like a player if you're GM or someone trying to justify a draft pick.
Oh yeah, because it's toxic to a team environment.
Yeah, but even so, surprising that.
Well, and then not only that, but did you watch the video of what the comments his dad would make?
Yeah,
about how involved he was, and he's got teams he won't let him play for. And now, don't get me wrong, like I understand what he's saying. I mean, it totally makes sense, right? That's his world.
Yeah,
right. He's one of the all-time greats, right?
Yeah, Hall of Fame for college and NFL.
Yeah, and he's really been there, done it. And of course, as a father, you want to guide your son, right? That nobody would expect you not to.
Yeah.
Right? Especially when I would imagine like anything like that, whether it's being an actor, actress, musician, pro athlete, like you don't always get the best deal, right? Like there's a system designed to make use of you to a certain extent.
I mean, that's just business.
It is. But if you'd been part of that business and you understood that better than the average person's father, you're gonna want to take an active role in protecting your kid, right? But I think his comments went way beyond that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's definitely just surprising, but also not surprising at the same time because, Deion Sanders and, Shedeur Sanders both have a very strong personality. We'll put it that way. And, that's why I know Deion Sanders is pretty big on social media. I assume Shedeur is too. But, it doesn't really lend too well to the whole draft situation. And I'd always been a decent fan of Deion Sanders just in general, but then Redcon 1, I used, working with that company myself. Deion Sanders basically a partner with them, so pretty familiar with his face through that. And so I've always had a pretty positive opinion of him. But I can definitely see where these GMs are coming from because that's just like a personality type that you really don't want
Yeah.
in the locker room. But it is surprising to me that he went 144, and I think at that point, definitely, it's hard to argue that's not good value. But he went to the Browns, and the Browns had actually drafted a quarterback 2 rounds before.
Yeah,
him.
they did.
And it's just funny because now the Browns have 4 quarterbacks, and there's a chance that one of the 2 quarterbacks that they picked.
Oh, they're definitely going to cut a couple.
Yeah, or they got to cut one because I think you only have 3.
Yeah.
And so the guy that they picked in the 3rd round might get cut, which is crazy because to me that's like such a. I mean, I guess they probably weren't anticipating on drafting Shedeur, but talk about wasted draft pick.
I don't know. I don't think they'll keep Shedeur. I think they picked him up on a value, and then they're going to throw him to some other team for part of a trade package.
Yeah, we'll see.
Somebody that doesn't have 3 other quarterbacks.
The Browns' quarterback situation is not that great. The Browns in general are just not looking too good.
No.
I think a team that I was shocked they didn't go to. I think there's a lot of talk about him going to the Steelers in the 1st round, and all else equals, like that would have been a great pick because Steelers are a pretty solid team, and if they just had a better quarterback, I think they'd be looking real good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, here I want to tell you about some of my favorite athletes of all time.
Okay,
have you ever heard of Sam Hartman?
We're talking football.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure I have.
He went to Wake Forest, Notre Dame. He set the ACC record for career passing touchdowns. He went undrafted. Have you ever heard of Tim DeMorat? Went to Fordham, 3-time Patriot League Offensive Player of the Year, threw for over 13,000 yards and 123 touchdowns in college. He went undrafted. Seth Hennigan, undrafted. Brady Cook, undrafted. Kurt Warner, Warren Moon, Tony Romo, undrafted. So you think it's racism?
Oh, definitely not. It definitely isn't.
I just love how we live in this country where it's like the most base, least intelligent argument is always the answer for half of the country.
Well, I don't even think it's half. I think a small minority of people are trying to play it off as something. And it's the typical offenders. But I think most people who are in tune obviously don't see it as a race thing, especially since
I just see so much from the typical people just scream. I mean, just like, are you kidding me? The NFL is starving for. I mean, they do everything they can to promote black quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, the guy's good. No, okay. So I got another question for you. Do you think the what is that? The ILL. What do they call that now in college?
The college,
like your individual likeness license. Yeah, ILL, isn't it?
I'm sure.
Yeah. So, I know with Shedeur that probably wasn't the case because his dad and everything like that. But supposedly, like he's driving a Rolls.
Oh, he's definitely got money. Dude,
Right.
Those chains, those chains are like triple my net worth.
Yeah. And
so one chain.
So do you think? Yeah. So the question. So one of my questions that I'm wondering is, and by the way, I am 100% for college athletes getting paid.
I agree.
Okay. I think it's disgusting that these universities are sitting on these massive amounts of money, and under the guise of a bullshit education, they get to profit like crazy off of these athletes. The highest paid government employee in every single state is the state college football coach. Right?
Yeah.
So you can pay that mofo, but you're not going to pay the players, most of whom never make it to the NFL, but they earn your school shit tons of cash. So for that reason alone, I know a lot of other people have much more nuanced arguments against it or whatever. But here's my question for you. If I start paying these guys in college, right, and they're able to make shit tons of money, I mean, become millionaires in college, right? Because can they also do sponsorships?
I think at this point, I think so to a certain extent. I don't know all the legal with it, but it used to not be a thing.
Yeah. So imagine, right? Like you become a millionaire at a lower level of play, right? And think of all the pride and ego that's going to create. But then there's this tiny fraction of all those players that get to go to the NFL. And now you're back at the bottom again in the NFL, most likely.
Yeah.
Right? I wonder if that's going to have, if that has like is going to start to have a pretty significant impact on their ability to be humble, to learn, to fit into a new system, right?
Yeah.
I just really think it's going to be a complete mental reset for a lot of these guys.
It might be. I also think it'd be a relatively small portion of people making a lot of money.
Yeah, in the college realm.
Because there's only so many colleges, even though it seems like a lot, ultimately compared to the number of colleges there are, only a small portion actually make enough revenue to pay like a lot of money. And then it's not the ILO, it's NIL. That's what I thought. So name, image, and likeness. And then since 2021, NCAA athletes have been allowed to profit from NIL. So that enables them to sign endorsement deals, participate in advertisements, and you can receive compensation for your personal brand, which is just crazy that it took this long to do this. Like I think sponsorships especially should be allowed. Like that's not even like a bribe.
Ask it what the highest NIL contract for a college football player is. Because if you're on the practice squad for a pro team, I think you're making $800,000 a year.
Let's see. I just went ahead and asked for the highest for any college athlete. I assume it's going to be football, though.
Yeah.
You can imagine. Let me see. Arch Manning. Is it Arch Manning or Arch Manning?
Archie.
Archie? Is it actually?
Yeah.
Okay.
Archie Manning, man.
He apparently made, I don't know how up to date this is.
What does it say?
But it's saying as of May 2025, so I guess it is up to date, $3.7 million. Whoops. Wait.
Yeah, but now he's going to go to the NFL. And did he go to the NFL already? He's not gone to the NFL yet.
I'm trying to see because it's saying estimated 6.6 million.
Yeah.
This chart's saying 3.7. All I know is it's many millions. And then Cooper Flagg, Duke basketball player, 4.8 million, which is crazy.
But now what's a general first contract for a quarterback in the NFL, right? Like, it's just interesting to me. There could be the potential, right? This could really skew things from a financial perspective for teams, right?
Yeah, but I think, the only people that are making money like that are also getting massive contracts.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, most...
Because I don't think Mahomes had that big of a contract, his rookie contract.
Well, that's how a lot of rookie contracts are.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if you go from college and you're making millions and you go to rookie contract...
Also, that's not exactly transferable though, as far as like making a ton of money and then making a little money, because a lot of this money is paid for by partnerships that they're not going to just drop them whenever they graduate.
A lot of that money is going to carry over.
So Cooper Flagg, like it doesn't say exactly how much allocated to each, but it says bolstered by partnerships with Gatorade, Fanatics, and New Balance, and so
okay, so most of that's going to continue over.
Yeah. 100%. And the same thing with like a Caitlin Clark. I know she is making a ton of money.
Yeah. What did she get? $7,000 a year from the WNBA and then another couple hundred endorsements.
She doesn't make like any money from the actual league that she plays in. Hardly pays her any money, but then I'm pretty sure like she makes a ton of money off like Nike for sure. And then
now Patrick Mahomes got a 4-year contract at $16.42 million. $10 million of that was a signing bonus. So you'd be hard pressed to get anywhere near that in college, right?
Yeah, the $10 million signing bonus is way higher than any college athletes making in the entire league.
Yeah, I got you. So interesting. Well, anyway, so there's been plenty of really good quarterbacks that have gone undrafted who've had good careers. There's plenty of ones that went undrafted and never had any kind of career, but they were still stellar in college.
Yeah. I think the reason why this one was so crazy, though, is that he was projected to potentially go the first couple picks.
Yeah.
And so you think of somebody sliding, you're thinking, I know I was reading the the mock draft by Mel Kiper, or whatever his name is from ESPN.
Yeah.
He does it every year. And he had, or maybe it wasn't him, but it was someone with a big organization. And in their, their mock draft, they had Shedeur Sanders going to the Steelers. It was like late first round. It was like, I think like pick 23 or something like that. And in the description of that pick, they're like, Shedeur Sanders slid down to this spot. They're like acting like this is like worst case scenario. It's like slid down to the spot, but it's a great fit in Pittsburgh. And that was like the 23rd pick.
Yeah, nobody saw him go
to 144,
right?
And so I think that's what's so surprising, because I'm not an expert in like all these previous drafts where Tony Romo was getting drafted or Tom Brady and those guys, but I just know they weren't like top 5 picks.
No.
So even though they're great quarterbacks and had great NFL careers, it just this is a little bit more
Tony
surprising.
Romo wasn't even drafted.
Yeah. And then one of the funny things was not so funny, but the prank call.
Yeah. Okay, this is so fucking insane to me, the NFL's reaction to this. What do you think?
About like the fine or what?
Yeah, so a 21-year-old kid gets his dad's tablet, gets the number, and pranks, and I shouldn't say kid,
Like 21.
a 21-year-old guy, right?
Whole ass adult. Yeah.
I mean, he's a whole ass adult, but are you shitting me? Like, we don't live in a world anymore where you can't do a funny prank on somebody without everybody getting all of their panties in a twist over it?
I'm a fan, and so NFL or not NFL, law enforcement, not law enforcement. I'm a big advocate of like enforcing rules, or else the world's going to be a shit show. And so I'm completely in favor of the NFL.
I think and I'm on the other side. There's entirely too many rules. We need to strip this shit away.
I would agree, but this is
It's like
the idea
they
is not
find
the
them.
prank itself.
No. They find them for allowing personal information out. Really, it's on a tablet. His house.
Yeah, and
He didn't leave it out in a public restaurant. He didn't accidentally post it on an online forum.
Well,
There was no risk to this data.
Jeff Albrecht or whatever his name is, the defense coordinator. He's not the one in fault. He's the one. The Falcons are getting fined $250,000.
Yeah,
he's getting fined $100,000.
Yes.
And to put it perfectly clear, Jeff Albrecht, he's getting fined $100,000. He's not the one who's getting fined. Ultimately, it's his son. Obviously, Jeff's going to pay for it. But if this kid had like any money, like it's really like him that's completely at fault.
At fault for what? A prank call? Come on,
dude! You can't be like.
Come on, that shit's hilarious.
I get it, and I do.
It's like grow up, laugh at the joke that you got played on, and fucking roll on.
Yeah, well, I get it. It's not a big deal, which is why I said it was kind of funny. But the reason why it's not funny is that like as soon as you start letting shit like this slide, it's a slippery slope. Shit gets out of control. It's ridiculous. Like you can't have like.
I totally disagree.
You can't have like.
Have fun, relax, everybody. Have a good time. Prank some motherfuckers.
Yeah, I agree for pranking.
Go let some cows loose in your high school on senior day. But pick your teacher's car up and put it in somewhere they can't get it out of. Come on, we used to have a great time.
But just like Shedeur Sanders being a complete asshat in these interviews and stuff.
Yeah,
it's like there's a certain process that should be in place. It's called like a general amount of respect. You should not be leaking people's information.
No, but nobody.
And he's lucky. He's lucky. It ended up only being a prank call.
But that's not how. What could it have been? It was in his house, and the only person that access to it was his son.
And like for example,
worse what? Posted it to a gay sex forum as call this number.
It could have been a lot worse. Like that phone number is supposed to be private for a reason.
I understand.
And this is someone who is about to sign multi-million-dollar contract potentially, and that phone number gets linked.
Funny.
And then.
But you can't call. How do you call that a leak? How do you call it a leak? It's on a tablet in his house.
That is only the textbook definition of a leak.
No. The
information gets enhanced.
Leak is Pete Hegseth posting military plans in a chat group with a reporter who then goes and publishes it everywhere. That's a leak. This is your son in your home. Your home's a private area.
I don't understand how someone who's. Let's put it this way. Jeff Albrecht's son is in no way, shape, or form at all, in no sensible world at all related to the NFL. He is a complete outsider.
Of course. Not complete outsider. He's the guy's son.
So
it's not like some stranger walked into his house, and got a hold of his tablet.
Dude, if I started calling like my dad's clients at his job,
yeah, you'd be in deep shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing. Except
No.
100 times the scale.
No. There's this hilarious story. This lady took her daughter to work. Her daughter was like 8 or 9, or as a guy. And his daughter writes on a sticky note, "You're fired," and sticks it on someone's desk. They show up on Monday morning to this sticky note and it was like some letter from his desk. It had like his name or something on it, and tells this person they're fired. It was this fucking like little girl, right? Now I know there's an age difference, right? But that okay, so you have the initial panic of you're getting fired. You go in maybe to talk to the boss. What the heck? He's like, I didn't fire you. What are you talking about? They show you the note. Oh, that's my daughter's handwriting. You fucking have a laugh over it and you roll on.
I still think that's definitely a different story. And then also all these pranks and stuff, like the idea behind it is that if you want to do a prank, like in high school, you prank.
Yeah.
Seniors do their prank, and that's just part of it. And if you go too far, you could get in trouble.
Of course.
The thing is,
no, and I
try not to get caught.
I don't have a problem with them getting in trouble, right?
And this is the NFL, so a $250,000 fine is not that much. You look at a play like
you have less fine. Yeah. What are the fines for spearing somebody with your head?
Well, no, like last year, Isaiah Pacheco, who got fined, I think like $45,000 for just a normal ass play. I watched a replay of that play. It was at Chiefs Stadium. I forget which game of the week or which week of the season it was, but it was just a normal play, and like it wasn't even a penalty. Nothing happened, and then he got fined like $45,000, which is like a huge percentage of his like basically it was like all he got paid for that game. He lost all of his pay, and they only play 17 games a year in the regular season. And so ultimately it's more like a slap on the wrist. I think the kid should be, I mean, I get it, funny prank and all, but you shouldn't be doing that, especially because, I mean, Jeff Elbrook didn't lose a job, but that's the type of stuff that could cause you to lose a job. And talk about a great job, being a defensive coordinator on an NFL team. The kid knew better. He's not a kid. He's 21 years old. He needs to have some respect. I get he thinks it's funny, but...
yeah, so Aziz Al-Shair with the Texans accumulated fines totaling $338,000 and received a 3-game suspension for repeated violations, including a late hit on a quarterback that led to a concussion.
Late hits are definitely more worth it.
That's less money.
Yeah.
That's less of a fine. Repeated violations, late hit, concussion, and they got fined less.
Well, yeah,
than a prank phone call.
But that's in a course of a game.
Mario Edwards, $325,000 following a 4-game suspension for substance abuse. The fucker's doing drugs. He's fined less.
But dude, okay. That's ridiculous. Okay. Fines in a game, the NFL fines a lot of people. I don't know if you realize that. They fine a lot.
I got a whole list
for normal plays.
Humphrey,
for normal plays,
$45,000 impermissible use of the helmet.
Of course, they're not going to fine like more than $100,000 for a fine because like they throw those out like candy, dude. Like of course, a prank call is a bigger deal than like.
How's a prank call a big deal? How is a prank call a bigger deal than giving a fucker a concussion? He did an illegal hit repeatedly. He physically harmed someone, and you're telling me
I'm thinking I watch a lot more football than you do. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
no. I'm just saying. Of course,
the plays aren't going to be as big. Like the concussion is like just a side effect of
it. And I know
like,
you watch more football than I do. We agree on that.
It's just like that's just like football. Like there's gonna be fines all the time. It sucks. They're trying to enforce the rules.
But how is a prank call $350,000?
The Falcons, for one, can eat that up. Most of the fine is going to the organization.
I'm not saying they can't.
Because they have like a contractual agreement to not be like sharing this information. I understand that it's the kid's son.
Yeah,
but like you have
the kid's son.
You can't be letting anybody get on that, and then much less let him actually call this person.
I don't know. I think it's fucking hilarious.
That's cut and dry, and like it's like stuff like this that ends up into like this liberal dystopia where you stop enforcing rules, and so that's the reason I'm so strong on it. It's like it is a slippery slope, and like he's fortunate that all it was a pretty innocent phone call.
Yeah, it was.
Like he's lucky. He's lucky he didn't go on that prank and say some crazy shit.
Yeah, of course,
because he could have. All he did was he pretended to be like the Saints. I think.
Yeah,
GM or
he didn't even promise them nothing or anything.
He just said you're going to have to wait a little bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, holy shit! This is the world we've come to, where people can't handle a fucking little joke.
But again, it's not the joke. It's the
that's what they.
You
That's what
they're like. I know you don't think it's leaked, but you can't be led in this confidential.
No, I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's not a leak. I'm telling you, there's levels of leaks.
Well, of course, there's levels of leaks.
Just as there's
an athlete.
Just as you have a light flow, you have a light flow tampon. You got the medium flow. You got the heavy flow.
Oh, definitely. I mean, this is like relatively light, but there's a lot of money behind this, and there's a lot of like the NFL is not like some like free body where you can do whatever the hell you want. There's like billions of dollars in this.
I understand.
There's a lot of money. There's a lot of contracts.
I just think it's a giant overreaction. I think you should have slapped him on the wrist with like
that is a slap on the wrist.
No, it's $350,000.
Did you see this play of Isaiah Pacheco? He got fined $45,000. To me, that one play of Isaiah Pacheco is less than like 1%.
Okay, but I think you're falling into a trap here. Just because somebody else gets fucked doesn't make it right to fuck another person. So maybe he shouldn't have been fined $45,000.
Well, maybe, but I think.
But that doesn't mean it's okay to go around and fine other people for dumb shit
for
too.
something completely justified. Yeah,
I'm just saying I don't feel it was justified. That's all I'm saying.
In what world would they not fine the Falcons for like? In
what do they have to do with it? I mean, just find a defensive coordinator.
That's like
$10,000 for his kid making a prank call and roll on. That's all I'm saying. I don't even know how it's a news story.
It's not really a news story we're talking about, but I mean, it's $350,000, which is not that much. These teams are worth billions of dollars.
So I understand that.
So that is a slap on the wrist.
No, but I think that's the same argument people make about Doge trying to cut billions of dollars out of the federal budget.
Just enforcing the law.
Just because the federal government has trillions of dollars doesn't make $1 billion cut not worthwhile.
At what point do we like how bad do you have to get until you start fining people? Like you're just gonna let everybody's like confidential information go free? Like that's a personal phone number. That's a personal phone number.
It is a personal phone number, and it was leaked in his house to his son. It is. I just don't.
Just the same as if it was leaked to a friend. Like who cares?
No. That could be much worse.
Yeah, but like the son literally called him. Like that is like
no, but he didn't do anything. It was like it's just a funny little thing.
That's a wild take. And I'm someone who
here's the deal. Anybody listening, anybody who's watching this, chime in and pick Team Nathaniel or Team Elliott, and let us know what you think. Let's settle it like that.
Like that'd be like me because
we beat this to a dead horse.
It'd be like me vandalizing a company.
No,
and it's like it's just funny.
Because that's harm being done. There was no harm done,
dude. Like I said, these teams
was
billions of dollars.
So show me the harm. Show me the harm that was done.
You can't.
You said vandalizing. Vandalizing creates harm. There's no harm here.
But like for example, vandalizing, I could be like using a fucking expo marker and writing on a window and you just wipe that shit off.
Yeah, that's not vandalism. No, it isn't.
If you're not supposed to.
No, that's not vandalism. There's no damage done.
You could argue it.
Well, I mean, we're clearly you can argue it. We're arguing this. You can argue anything.
I'm just saying that like it's not the phone call. It's the data leak. You can't be doing that.
I understand. I just think
that's a minute amount of money. If this is the WNBA, that'd probably be like a $25 fine. Because like it is relative.
And that would be have to pay for the year.
It is relative to the value.
I understand. I understand.
350 sounds like a lot.
You and I are on opposite sides of rules. You Nazi.
I am a fan of enforcing rules.
I'm gonna play this game the way liberals do.
Now
you're a Nazi.
Now, if he got like arrested, then I'd be like, all right, that's an overreach. But like, ultimately, I mean, it sucks, but the kid shouldn't have done it. And I guess to some extent, you could blame the dad too. But I put the blame on the son. But
all right, well, I still want to have people.
At least we got some controversy.
Yeah, I still want people to post down below in the comments if you're team Vossman or Team O.
All right, so we'll move on from that.
I like how riled up you got. You had some good veins going in your neck there.
Yeah, well, that's
I'm going to start trying to do this on every topic. Yeah. I think that's going to get us more clicks.
Well, sadly, I think this topic we're going to vastly agree on. So,
okay.
I guess we'll have to take
my new goal is to get Hulk Vossman back on another topic.
We just got to start talking about stuff that isn't politics related. So this situation going on. I think that's ridiculous, but you're going to agree with me mostly, or entirely probably, with these couple judges around the country getting arrested. So I got two in particular. So it's Hannah Dugan. I think she's from Milwaukee. And then Joel Cano. I think he's from, is it Arizona? I don't even know. New Mexico, I believe.
Might as well be Arizona.
So somewhere in that area. So New Mexico.
Somewhere in the southern desert where they're all doing meth.
Exactly. So I thought this was pretty crazy, and it's been a pretty big news story, I guess. I'm not sure why, and I really don't understand the support for these judges, which is just crazy because mainstream media is definitely doing a pretty good job at misrepresenting what's going on.
That's all they do.
So before I get into the facts of it, like you'll see on the news, they're saying like, "Oh, this is an ongoing battle between Trump and the judicial system, and this him pressuring him and taking action, blah blah blah." And then you like read the actual like article, or you look into the actual case, and you're like, why are they even like defending this? So this Hannah Dugan, she's a judge, Milwaukee. So she's a Milwaukee County Circuit Court judge. She's been there since 2016. So the actual date of the incident, April 18th, and so it was a court appearance for Eduardo Flores Ruiz, so a 30-year-old Mexican national. Illegal immigrant.
Yep.
And so he was going to Dugan's courtroom for a pre-trial hearing on 3 misdemeanor battery charges with domestic abuse modifiers. So bad guy.
Wait, really? That makes you bad?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought Abrego Garcia was a good guy and he beats his wife. I thought Democrats love wife
I guess
beaters.
you're exempt if you're not a citizen. And so ICE agents, they're not allowed to go into the courtroom, but they're waiting basically outside the courtroom. They had an administrative warrant. And, during this court appearance, Judge Dugan had, figured out that ICE is waiting outside. And I guess it sounds like she was like pretty upset about it, especially since it was an administrative warrant, not a judicial one. Like the administrative one technically holds a little less weight. But I still had every right to be there to arrest this guy and take him.
Yes, they do.
And so basically she went out there, bitched at him, essentially went back into the courtroom.
She like smuggled him out secret side doors and shit that are not allowed to be used by anybody other than jurists.
Yeah. So it's like the entrance exit for like people in the jury, I think for the judge herself. And also, I think that's the same door that, like, if somebody was being detained and, after the court appearance, they got to go back to jail or something, like, they get handcuffed with a couple of guards, they go back to that door. So, not the public door. Yeah. And she ends up taking this guy and just, like, walking him out that exit. And I think it was him and his attorney or whatever. And then just told him, like, leave, through the side exit.
She's literally... I can't remember what the word is, but
it's obstruction.
Absolutely. Obstructing the federal government.
Yeah. I mean, that's precisely what it is.
And haven't we heard this mantra for like 10 years now that no one is above the law?
Yeah, we have heard that a lot.
Except for illegal immigrants, judges.
Yeah, and she's just getting support because she's a judge, but I mean, she's literally obstructing justice in this case, obstructing ICE. Mr. Flores Ruiz was caught. I think they had a little foot chase, but he was detained, and so ultimately, ICE did its job, and what she did was completely useless, other than the fact that she's got arrested for it.
Yeah, so she's got her out of jail too.
Yeah, well, she's out of jail awaiting trial.
Yeah.
So pretty typical. She's not like an actual threat, but
no,
the things aren't looking that good to her. So the charges that she's facing, so she got arrested April 25th, so about a week after, by FBI. So she's being charged with obstruction of federal agency, so the ICE. So that's a felony, up to 5 years, up to $250,000 fine. And then she was also charged with a misdemeanor of concealing an individual to prevent arrest. So that's a misdemeanor, up to 1 year, $100,000 fine. So she's facing up to, I doubt she'll ever face this, but up to 6 years in prison and $350,000 if convicted. And so I guess her court appearance is May 15th. So that's just, a couple weeks away. But otherwise, she's currently suspended. I don't know if this is verified or not, but it sounds like she's suspended from judicial duties. She's not fired. She's just suspended.
She will be fired.
Yeah, I would imagine. I imagine she's probably going to face some kind of big penalty, but I doubt 6 years. But
no.
So a reserve judge is kind of handling her work.
Yeah.
So that's just interesting. It's just funny to me that she's getting, I can't imagine I'm not going to say it's like the whole Democratic Party because
it's a huge,
it is a pretty big.
The entire media apparatus.
Well, it is pretty big. There's sometimes I'll admit that certain things like Luigi Mangione or Carmelo Anthony, I'm like, all right, there are supporters of these people, but it's not like a huge part of the party.
Yeah.
This situation where it's not like unanimous, but it is like this is actually pretty substantial.
Pretty dang close.
It is a lot. I'd like to know the actual data, but I don't think there's any polls out officially yet. Whereas like the Luigi Mangione, they're actual like opinion polls.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there will be opinion polls on this. But since it's so recent, I'm not sure there are any yet. But it's just pretty crazy. You got people who are like protesting this just because she's a judge. But it's like, at what point? And then other people will see it as like rule breaking, but they see it for the right cause, which is wild to me. But I mean, I get it.
Well, we've already been over how staunch on rules you are.
Yeah, I am staunch on rules, which I think. I mean,
I'm not
necessarily advocating for
hang on.
maximum penalty, but like she should be, fixed.
I think it's way worse than anybody's even talking about here.
Okay,
but let's break this down as to what the reality of it is. Okay, what is her job?
To basically
to uphold the law.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So we live in a country where we talked about this in regards to the U.S. Supreme Court. We're supposed to have 3 co-equal branches of government. We absolutely do not, because one gets to overrule all others.
Judicial.
And that's the judicial.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, there's also supposed to be a 4th quasi branch. It's not really a branch of government. The 4th estate is what sometimes they call it. And that's the media. So the media is supposed to be out there trying to hold these politicians, the president, the Congress people, the Senates, and the judicial accountable, right? To shed light on them so they can't just run around doing whatever they want. So here we have the wholesale abandonment of the media's job. We have a judge who's supposed to uphold the law and is not only not upholding the law, they're actively working to subjugate it. And if you think that she was willing to do this for this guy, don't you think somebody should go back and look at all of her previous rulings?
Yeah.
What do you think she's been doing for
crazy?
How long has she been on the bench? Since 2016?
Yeah, 2016.
What the hell do you think she's been doing since 2016? If she's willing to go to this length for a guy who has 3 domestic battery charges?
Yep. And I'm pretty sure, I'm not completely expert, I'm pretty sure, but the actual witnesses, so the actual victims in this case, were there. And I'm pretty sure like they never even did what they were supposed to do that day because she just snuck him out.
So
it's pretty wild.
Yeah. So yeah, I would really like somebody to look at the fact that we don't just have one of these. This mentality of judge has invaded our judicial system, right? This stretches all the way into the whole due process argument, which is that we have people in this country that are screaming that people who enter the country without due process can't be removed from the country without due process. Now, there's different definitions of due process, because I think due process is arresting you and flying you to El Salvador. That was a process. It was due to you. But when they say due process, they want 700 courts.
They want bloat.
To somehow go through years of legal processes on all these people. Now, here's another somewhat connected topic. What is it with women believing that Democrats are on their side, and yet all day long, whether it's the idiots that got capped in Kenosha, or it's Abrego Garcia, or it's this guy, Democrats are always defending wife beaters. They have more wife beaters in their party. Like you would think the Republicans would have all the wife beaters, right? The rebel flag people in the trailer park with the wife beater and the pot belly and the hairy shoulders and the Pabst Blue Ribbon. You would think that's who should be like, that's the party of wife beaters. But all day long, Democrats are coming to the defense of a wife beater.
Yeah.
George Floyd, he wasn't just a wife beater. He stuck a gun to a pregnant girl's belly and threatened to shoot the baby through her belly. Like, why are they? How is it that everybody Democrats choose to defend is a wife beater? And who was the guy? There was like some politician recently who's wasn't it Pelosi's husband? Didn't he smack his nanny around? Yeah, Paul Pelosi was like smacking his nanny around. They love wife beaters, and women vote for them in like by a wide margin.
Yeah.
Do you think that women like have a kink that I'm unfamiliar with? Do you think they
love just falling victim to
they love getting smacked around?
And just as a little
maybe this is why Andrew Tate. Do you think maybe this is why Andrew Tate has so many girls?
Yeah,
secretly they all just want to get smacked.
And just a little fact check though, and this is in my opinion actually makes the situation worse. Was let's see, I think instead of pointing at the pregnant lady's belly, George Floyd, I think it was an armed robbery, and it was a woman in the house, and I believe she was with her child, which in my opinion actually makes it worse. Because like talk about like if you're going to traumatize the mom, the baby's in there, at least just the mom traumatized. Yeah. Imagine having the actual kid traumatized. So in my opinion, it's like kind of worse.
Yeah.
So just want to put that out there. But yes, it's pretty wild. And I was reading this, I think this guy, because it was 3 cases. So I think it was on multiple people. Let's see. Flores, Ruiz.
And let's go back to that. I just recently posted on my Instagram the full arrest video of George Floyd. And do you know the judge would not allow it to be shown?
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And if you watch it,
you think of all evidence, like that would be like,
yep. Nope.
The one you
was not allowed to be shown. And if you watch it, it's absolutely insane that Derek Chauvin is in prison and was convicted of murder.
Yeah, and you watch it all and see the autopsy, you see the video, you see how he was acting before he was ever on the ground.
Yeah,
and that, you look like he
was so hopped up,
complete crazy person.
Yeah,
and then
so there's just this weird pattern that I just can't seem to wrap my head around, and I don't understand women voting for the party that defends any guy that beats a woman. Apparently,
so let's see here. So I think. It doesn't say who the victim was here.
And they don't just defend the people that beat women, they defend the people who impersonate women and then steal all their accolades. I mean, the Woman of the Year on Time magazine at one point was a guy.
Crazy. So this Flores Ruiz, the guy that she snuck out, and this, it doesn't say who the victim was. One of the victims was his roommate. I'm guessing the roommate was a guy. But they say he assaulted his roommate approximately 30 times. I think by assaulted they mean he punched him 30 times, legitimately punched, which that's a lot of punches. I think it was a one-sided fight. It wasn't like a mutual 30 punches.
Hey, if you get 30 punches in, it's probably one-sided.
Yeah. So 30 times. So that's pretty violent at that point. Like you have to. I'm not saying that like.
I went to the UFC fights last weekend in Kansas City. I'm pretty sure I saw fights where they didn't land 30 punches.
Oh, definitely not. No, definitely not. You're not landing 30 punches.
And that was some boring ass shit right there.
You should have been watching this because then the roommate's girlfriend attempted to intervene. Flores Ruiz reportedly struck her and shoved her to the kitchen. So hit her and pushed her, causing her to fall. A third individual was also injured trying to break up the altercation. So he beat up at least one woman. He absolutely almost like killed, sounds like a dude, his roommate.
Yeah.
That's his roommate too. It's not to like your roommate, but damn, dude.
Right.
It was all over some loud music.
Maybe they'll make him the head of the DNC or, try and find some role in the party for him.
I'm sure they will.
They should start a wife-beating caucus, the Democrat wife-beating caucus.
They can just round up. I'll at least give him credit. He wasn't a wife beater because he wasn't married.
Okay.
See, he gets a pass on a wife beater. He just beats up his roommate, his roommate's girlfriend, and some random third person.
Yeah, the Democrat woman beater. But I mean, they can't define what a woman is. Yeah. So the Democrat person who menstruates beater.
Exactly.
It doesn't flow as well, but.
And then moving on to another case with a judge getting arrested is Joel Cano, former Doña Ana County magistrate judge. So I think it's in New Mexico. And he recently resigned, but he was there from 2011 to March 2025. He resigned in March 2025 amid some misconduct allegations, which becomes pretty clear here. So he got arrested April 24th with his wife, Nancy Cano, by federal agents in Las Cruces, New Mexico. And so the charge is pretty crazy. Joel Cano got charged with tampering with evidence. Same with his wife. And they're facing up to 7 years in prison. And so what the situation was, they had allegedly, I hate that word because they did, harbored Christian Ortega Lopez, so undocumented immigrant, with suspected ties to a Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua, and their guest house. So that's already bad enough. Like they're, harboring like an illegal alien.
What is up with this?
But what's worse, like that's already illegal. I want to put that out there. But where it gets bad is that Joel Cano admitted to destroying the dude's cell phone, believing that it contained incriminating evidence, meaning the connections to the gangs.
Yeah.
And then also the wife attempted to delete Ortega Lopez's Facebook account, which linked him to the gang. And so not only are they, harboring this dude and kind of like trying to keep him safe from ICE, but they're also literally tampering with like evidence, like smashing the person's cell phone, trying to delete the Facebook. I'm not sure.
Hillary Clinton smashed her servers and nothing happened to her. So maybe these people were just taking a page out of her book.
Fair. And it's just crazy to me. And so this illegal immigrant was like living at their house basically, and then just doing some like, I guess, yard work and stuff. So he's like kind of working.
That's how important it is to get cheap labor.
Yeah. I'm sure that he was very cheap. They're probably sad to lose him, and they're also probably gonna be sad to be in prison. So they're in custody. So they're actually in custody waiting for their legal proceedings.
Yeah, and so I'm sitting here on social media, and I'm watching. I have a pretty extensive network, and a number of my social media associates are left-leaning, and I watch them post these posts about like it is never wrong, to not cooperate with ICE, and it is never wrong, and they're equating themselves to the Underground Railroad. I'm like, yeah, no.
Yeah, or like one that I saw was pretty interesting. I think it was someone that commented maybe on our stuff or somewhere, and obviously there's stupid people out there, so this is not like a popular opinion, but it was just so stupid that I just couldn't help myself. But he was comparing this. I think it was the case with Hannah Dugan.
Yeah.
But he was kind of comparing that to Anne Frank.
Yeah. No, that's what they're doing.
I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah. What are you talking about? This dude is like a criminal here. It was also he was illegally here, so he's already supposed to be gone, but then he's breaking the law here, beating the shit out of people.
They're harming
you're
our
going to call him like the Anne Frank, and like he's not even facing like certain death. He's just going back to Mexico.
Yeah. I know you said
I'm not saying I'd rather be in America than Mexico, but like he's not going to a concentration camp. Like he's just going like home, and like he probably wants to be here, but like I don't see like how you can like try to paint him to be any kind of victim.
No, they're all insane, and it's like
the only victims were in that courtroom. And
exactly,
crazy.
Yeah, no, it's
Anne Frank argument was pretty wild.
Look, here's the other thing. I don't think we have this to talk about, but I think it ties into here, okay? Or at least I'm going to try and attempt to tie it together in an inane way. I've also seen posts about how people are now standing with autism because RFK Jr. came out and said they're going to he's forming a committee. They have 1 year. They're going to find the cause of autism, and they're going to eradicate it. And all these posts, liberals just start posting, autism's not a disease. We stand with autism. I'm like, what? Like, you want your kid to be autistic? Like,
I'm hoping that's a fringe opinion because that's ridiculous.
Like, what is and I just think like I really believe that the media has spun people up to such a crazy level on the left that it just doesn't matter. Like, it's an old joke that Trump can say oxygen is good, and then you're going to watch half the country suffocate them, put a plastic bag over their head, right? And it's like, wow, like I used to think that was a joke. You're literally now posting, I stand with autism, and autism's not a disease, and how dare somebody say that they're going to find the cause of it and eradicate it?
Yeah, you're saying like we don't want people to have cancer.
Yeah, right. You're gonna take criminals in gangs and you know they're in the gang because you're trying to delete their Facebook and hide the evidence on their phone of it, you're a judge.
Yeah, they know. Yeah, that guy was definitely in a gang,
right?
Without question.
I understand people trying to claim that the marijuana leaf, the smiley face, the
it's like a skull and then a cross, like a cross and a skull.
Yeah, a cross and a skull. That's not MS-13.
What was a lot? Yeah.
Oh, and then I even saw another article that talked about how, our criminal system using tattoos to identify and label people as gang members is racist. I mean, like, that's the whole point of gang tattoos, is to identify that you're in the gang.
Yeah, maybe. Like, if you're not part of a gang, just don't get gang tattoos.
Yeah, I mean, do you wear a yarmulke?
No.
Yeah, I don't either. You know why?
Because that's not.
Because I'm not Jewish.
I don't practice that religion at all.
You know what else I don't wear? I don't wear a red bandana hanging out my back pocket. You want to guess why?
He's not part of any kind of gang.
I'm not in the Crips or Bloods. That'd be the Bloods. Crips are blue, right?
Something like that.
Bloods are red.
I'm so out of the gang shit that.
Really? I always thought you had a lot of street cred.
I wish. No, bro. I want to say the hell away from anybody in the gang. That's all I know. Fuck that. I'm perfectly happy with
gangs have lots of rules. You might fit in well there.
They definitely have rules, and they definitely have harsh consequences. So,
yeah, this shit's so nuts. The judges are actively working against our country, working against the laws.
Yeah, they're like, as a judge, like,
and then Democrats all claiming that they're above the law. No one else is, just the judges, unless they're U.S. Supreme Court judges and they're conservative. then they're not above the law.
Yeah, everything flips then. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely due to the media. And one thing that's just like crazy to me is that I think everybody knows that the media is skewed. But I think one thing that not everybody truly realizes is to what extent the media is skewed. So of course, like we have certain networks that are obviously conservative. We have certain like publications that are conservative, but as a whole, like, it's undeniably one way.
Oh, it is so undeniable.
Like if you ask like any like ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini, like is the media as a whole fair, or is it right leaning? Is it left leaning? Like, you couldn't even like convince it that it's right leaning. They're like, no, it leans left.
No, it is.
Left.
And nobody proved it more than Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Right? 57% of the reporting on Joe Biden's first 100 days was positive. 57%. You know what it was for Trump?
Not that great.
It was 8%.
And I'm pretty sure, like, I think the poll that you're talking about, the
study
data that you're talking about is actually, I could be wrong, but I think that one was specifically CBS, ABC, and then a third contender. But basically,
like, two of them were 100% negative.
And those are like relatively mild by comparison to like MSNBC, which I would imagine would be like 99.
No. Multiple networks were 100% negative.
Yeah, but I think that 8% though, the 8% positive coverage were like the more moderates.
Yeah.
That's like excluding like an MSNBC.
Yes, you're correct.
Which is extra crazy. So in reality, it's like even worse.
And then all you got to do is go watch the montages of every single talking head giving airtime to everybody proclaiming that Joe Biden is this cognitive genius. The hard part about meeting with Joe Biden is he's just so sharp and knowledgeable about everything. That's a quote I literally watched.
Yeah, and these are prominent people saying that stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And you watch it, like I was listening to a lot of MSNBC and CNN on the way, and they're doing these interviews, and it is like literally, I'm sitting there going, do these people coming on give the CNN or MSNBC talking head the list of questions to ask them? It is just layup after layup, softball after softball. It's literally like, what point do you want to make? Here's the question. Ask me this question. I'm going to make this point. Here's the next question I want you to ask me. I'm going to make this point. Not an ounce of pushback. No fact checking, letting him say the most crazy things, constitutional crisis, just all this hyperbole, I'm just like, wow.
Yeah. And like,
and they've done it for 10 years and it hasn't gotten them anywhere.
And I hate it a lot, but like, I'd be even more okay with it if it was a more even split, but it's not. And it's just crazy because like I get it. Like there's really going to be hard to have any like news outlet that is completely fair. It just really doesn't happen. But like if it was at least like 50-50 split between the crazies, the moderates, whether they lean left or right, if it was more of a split. Like Trump, instead of winning the election by 1.5% or whatever he won it by, he would have won it by at least like 5%. And that's just like fair. That's not even like that's not even like flipping the tables to where he's getting the good press and, you know, Kamala's getting bad press. If it was just 50-50, like he would have won by, maybe 5%, 6%. And it's especially bad once you start getting into the publicly funded news outlets like AP News and NPR. And then even like one thing that I found crazy, because I was like reading up about the Canada election this week. I was just reading up on Canada politics, but they also have like a pretty equivalent to NPR. They have CBC. I think it's the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, something like that, CBC. And sure enough, like they lean left as well. And I just think that's like so crazy. I mean, I guess that makes sense because Canada in general is more liberal than the U.S. But I think it's just so crazy. Why is every media for all these at least countries like in our our little world over here are so left leaning, and then even like the ones that shouldn't be left leaning. It's okay if it's your MSNBC, you're talking the way you're talking. That's fine, but to be getting money from the government and then pushing a left leaning propaganda essentially is ridiculous.
Yeah,
that's just a funnel that it just keeps going because like if government's funding it, like then like NPR or CBC or AP News, they want that funding. They're going to keep pushing. That's just crazy to me, and it shouldn't happen. So I think I can't speak for Canada, but like NPR and AP News, like just don't fund them publicly.
There's no way. No, a single public dollar should be going to those things.
100%. Because like Trump says that, and then they portray it as like he's trying to get rid of media. But his whole talk is just like you can report however the hell you want.
Yeah, just don't do it with the taxpayer dollars.
He deals with liberal media all the time, like worse contenders, like NPR and AP. Like they're not even nearly as bad as some of the others. But they lean left. He has no issue with it, but it's just like we shouldn't be funding it.
No.
Like they can report whatever the hell they want to report, but just let's not pay for it.
Yeah. You know who I haven't heard about in a long time, and I was trying to remember this number of podcasts ago, the Huffington Post. I used to hear about them all the time.
I don't hear that much about them.
No.
At all.
I wonder if Doge cut their funding.
Yeah, I haven't. That's one that I haven't even like remotely even thought of.
Yeah, right. But I used to stuff from them used to come across my feed all the time.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see if that's a matter of just like less visible on the internet or something. Cause I see when I'm looking up stuff, when I'm doing like research and stuff, like I see a lot of the same, and then there's like obviously you see the big ones, and then you see some smaller ones too. But like one that I've been seeing surprisingly more often is like Washington Post, and they're pretty left.
Oh yeah,
I think that doesn't Jeff Bezos own them?
Yeah. HuffPost has experienced a significant decline in readership. A 23% year-over-year decrease
in like revenues or ratings?
in visits on their website.
That's pretty bad for 1 year. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, they're cutting their newsroom staff by 22%. It was acquired by BuzzFeed in 2020.
That's part of why we do BuzzFeed's pretty bad. They're pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, Huffington Post, dude, I haven't even.
Yeah, and then Vox was another one that I used to.
Vox, I at least like sometimes will see their articles pop up. That's not really one I visit that much. I do visit like liberal news outlets, but Vox is one of them. I'll visit CNN. I do most of my research on like an AP News type of thing, even though they are left leaning. They're pretty center. So I do at least. In fact, that's actually pretty ideal for me because I like it being pretty centered, so I can actually get facts. But then the left lean actually works in my favor, so I can kind of see the other side of the.
That's why. I mean, so I mostly am on left leaning media.
Yeah, but like MSNBC sometimes is too far left to the point where I just do kind of want some more of the facts, and they don't do that great of a job. So I'm a big fan of AP News.
Yeah, Vox is getting crushed too.
That's not surprising.
There's a change of brewing.
Yeah. So
while we're talking about the media, what do you think about Paramount having to settle with Trump on the $20 billion lawsuit for them trying to?
Are they actually going to pay that out?
Yeah, I think so, because
I don't know how they afford that. Like,
well, they're not going to. No, they're not going to pay out $20 billion.
But like, how does that work? Like, where do they come? Like, that's what I don't understand. Because obviously, there's no way because billion is like a ton of money.
It is.
But how do they find like the in between? Like, how?
No. There'll be look. So Skydance is trying to acquire Paramount.
Okay.
And that deal has to be signed off on by, I think, regulators in the federal government, right?
Yeah.
So this to me, this is fantastic, right? Because if Trump had gotten elected, right, he wouldn't have the power to put pressure on those agencies to prevent the merger from happening, right? So Paramount and Skydance are in talks to try and the board just released something yesterday from Paramount. They're wanting to settle so they can complete this merger with Skydance.
Yeah.
All right. So I would imagine it'll be for significantly less than $1 billion.
Yeah, you would imagine, because even like $1 billion, even like 20 million would be a lot.
Well, I'm pretty sure like that Catholic kid that got just destroyed by the media. Do you remember him? The Catholic school kid, and he was on the in Washington D.C. and the Native American.
Yeah, and he was just standing there.
Yeah, he just stood there, and the media just destroyed.
Yeah, millions, I think.
Hundreds of millions.
Hundreds.
Yes.
Yeah, even millions. I would totally love to be slandered on TV to make millions.
Yeah,
it's a fair trade off.
I would have been willing to get molested by Michael Jackson to get 23 million.
Dude, I don't even need 23 million for that. Shit.
Right. 5 million?
23 grand, maybe. Fuck.
I mean, just the notoriety of, it being Michael Jackson.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, fair. Maybe I'll have to pay him. I don't know.
So I'll pay you to molest me. I just want to be able to say Michael Jackson molested me.
I mean, if you're going to be, I hate to say it, but if you're going to be molested, it might as well be Michael Jackson.
Oh, absolutely.
So you're looking some up for that, or?
Yeah, I just want to see. I'm sure it's like, non-disclosure and all that stuff. But
I've definitely heard numbers. That's why I knew it was in the millions. Hundreds of millions seems quite high, but
he was seeking $275 million in damages.
So even if he gets a fraction of that, he is.
Yeah, and of course the settlement is not disclosed.
Dude, even if you got 1% of that, that'd be totally worth it.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money, especially when you're that young.
Well, and he was seeking over $1 billion in damages from all outlets.
Oh, so that was just from CNN?
That was just CNN.
Yeah.
He filed defamation lawsuits against the Washington Post, NBC Universal, and CNN.
Good for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And again, it's interesting how it's always a right-leaning person that has to sue these media organizations. They don't seem to ever make these mistakes.
Yeah. I mean, part of the reason why it's like that is just because the media as a whole is so left-leaning.
Yeah. They've literally thrown any journalistic integrity right out the window and have become just pure propaganda machines.
Yeah.
So,
and as always, they'll never claim that it's like only a one-sided issue, but it is.
It's 90%.
It's definitely, it is leaning one side, and that's just the case. And the reason why journalism is so left-leaning is the same reason why some like Harvard is so left-leaning. It's because like the type of person that gets into that kind of job has a certain like, I guess, personality type, certain like views on the world. And so they're like, journalists are just by nature more left-leaning.
When you produce nothing, what side do you vote on? You vote Democrat. When you produce nothing, you vote Democrat. It's clear as day. Just go look at the rural areas, because every farmer, every rancher, every person that produces, for the most part, votes Republican. All the people that are in office jobs, politicians, the leeches on the government, all the people that produce nothing or have some cushy, overpaid job, media, Hollywood, whatever, they vote Democrat.
Yeah.
All your universities, all your professors, you can literally just lump careers into two different categories, and you have like a 90% Democrat and 90% Republican. And it literally, the differentiator is, do you produce something or do you not?
Yeah. Definitely not wrong. So,
yeah.
That's the problem. That's not going anywhere anytime soon.
No. What else up on your stack of stuff?
So this next thing is quite a bit of a shorter topic, but I think it's interesting. I think we probably also talked about it a little bit beforehand. Is Trump's income tax proposal? So he's been talking about it for a while. I know Howard Lutnick was talking about, I think about this time a month or two ago, talking about how families making under $150,000 a year shouldn't be paying any federal income tax, and that the idea is like we're going to offset that tax revenue with revenue from.
Hey, Abby's up here. We're one of these days. I've been threatening her. We're going to get her on camera.
She can come in here right now.
The highest rated Murphy's Market Minute I've ever done, the highest number of views, was the only one I've ever gotten Abby on.
Well, I guess she's just a spectator. So for better or for worse, I guess we just
all of a sudden I'm nervous. Why am I nervous all of a sudden? I have an audience.
Yeah.
Shit.
Wow. But kind of going back to the idea is Howard Lutnick had proposed the idea of families under $150,000 shouldn't be paying any federal income tax, and that tax revenue that would be lost would be offset by revenues coming in from tariffs. And so, in this past week, actually, Trump kind of doubled down on that and saying that he wants to eliminate federal income taxes for households earning under $200,000. So that's a step up, and I think that makes up about 90% of all Americans. So this would be a huge deal. Except obviously it becomes a little less practical, especially as you go a bigger number. So 150 was already pretty tough. 200,000 makes it that much more tough. Because there would be a pretty big gap loss in revenue. So the projected tariff income for the U.S. Granted, I always see such a wide range of numbers. I think it is kind of hard to guess, but I think the latest projections land somewhere between $300 and $400 billion of tariff revenue per year. But to put that in perspective, though, households earning under $200,000 contribute about $814 billion a year in that federal tax revenue. So, I mean, you're looking at a downfall of $400 billion. So it doesn't really match up. So
a quarter of our
deficit.
A quarter of our budget deficit.
Yeah.
Just a quarter of it.
I think a good way to look at it would be like if you factor in Doge savings plus tariff revenue, maybe you don't hit the $200,000 mark, but you could probably.
So if I'm short $1,000 on my household budget, I'm going to lose $250. I'm going to be $1,250 short.
Yeah. And and I think, like I said, like if you factor in Doge savings, which I think is $150 billion right now, you add that onto the tariff revenue.
Well, and that $150 billion has just started.
Oh yeah,
like that is going to continue to increase over time. I believe.
And I think not only increase, but also having the mindset of Doge also
absolutely
stops like further expansion. So It's like numbers that really aren't even tangible.
Yeah,
it is having an effect. So I think something like this would be great. I think the biggest argument against it would be the fact that there are so many people who already don't pay any federal income tax. So this would be helping, obviously, people that are above that range. But there's a lot of people out there. I think it's like 30 to 40% of people, households that pay no federal income tax. And so something like this wouldn't affect them at all. Like the only thing.
So then again, what's the argument? You're only cutting taxes for the rich.
There's plenty of people who aren't rich that do pay federal income tax. And so the only thing that could potentially help them, but this isn't even on the radar, and I don't even know if this would be a good idea or not, would be cutting something like a FICA tax. Because there's people not paying federal income tax. They're still paying state income tax potentially.
Yep.
And definitely FICA taxes, which is a decent little chunk. I mean, I think they'd rather not pay them. So whether that's practical or not, I don't know. But that's not even part of this proposal.
Doesn't FICA cover Social Security?
Yeah. And so exactly, which is why politically it'd be pretty tough.
Yeah, because then you have less money going into Social Security.
At a shortfall.
Yeah.
So I don't really think this is going to ever happen. I do appreciate the mindset on it, though. But I think the political hurdles that you have to jump through would be pretty tough, especially just because you're talking about.
Well, but you have the stupid bird rule.
Yeah.
Right.
This would never pass that.
No.
That means you got to have
You have to offset. You have to offset the tax cuts
over 10 years.
Over a 10-year period of time, the tax cuts cannot increase the federal deficit, which is weird because it's increasing every year, anyways. So, what would they do to offset $800 billion? Oh, yeah. I know what they would do. They'd cut 5.5% from the Committee on Commerce and Energy. That was $880 billion, right?
I believe that was the number.
Huh. I wonder if these two things are connected in some way.
It's interesting.
Random collision of data points in my head.
So, unfortunately, probably won't ever happen. But I mean, that would help a lot of people. It'd help. Technically, like this would affect 90% of people, 90% of households, but in reality, not really that much because there's already so many people who don't pay.
Yeah.
So to them, they'd probably feel like it's almost like a slap in the face that they're already kind of struggling, which is why politically this would be hard to pass, is because where's the benefit to them?
Yeah.
Unless like you give them some kind of like tax refund where they're like getting money. That would also be hard to.
I just really think there needs to be two tax systems in America and two benefits packages in America. And you get taxed and access to the benefits package every year or every 4 years based on who you vote for. If you vote Democrat, then you're taxed to fund all the programs you support. If you vote Republican, you're taxed to fund the programs you support. And you get a little card, if I'm a Democrat, I have access to all those government programs I voted for. If you're a Republican, you get access to the programs you voted for.
Be nice, and then over the course of your life, if you voted Democrat at half the time, Republican half the time, and you get half the benefits.
I would be willing to bet you that the Democrat system would collapse and be broke in under 2 years.
Yeah, probably pretty quick. Yeah, it's interesting.
Because none of them would vote for it. You would immediately have a 90% vote for Republicans because I help people save taxes. And I don't ever have anyone of any political party come in and say they want to pay their taxes.
Yeah, and the only way those
the whole game is others, those people, not you. I'm going to tax those people. That's the whole game. The only reason anybody votes for taxes is because you lie to them and they buy it, that it's going to be someone other than you. And that's what I don't like about any of these kind of plans. Because it's just doing that again. It's not you. We're going to, why do we want anybody? You would never, you played sports, right? I didn't. Okay. But do you ever want somebody on your team that's not carrying their weight? No, you don't. There's only one time that you as a team want somebody who's not carrying their weight, and that's when it's someone with special needs. Right? And even then, they're still contributing. Because that a lot of times that's like a really positive impact.
It's good morale right there.
It's awesome morale, right? And they're bringing something intangible but incredible to the team. But we have a country where there's so many people that are not carrying their weight. And if you don't carry your weight, can you feel any kind of bond or connection to the team? Is there any wonder why there's so many people in this country that hate the country and aren't invested in it? They're not contributing. I hate the idea of anybody being on my team who's not contributing. I don't care if you're contributing. Let's go to the New Testament, the widow's mite. The lady had almost nothing. And the little bit that she contributed was worth more than all that the rich man put in.
That's fair, yeah. Not a bad analogy.
Yeah, I thought you'd like that one.
Yeah, it's good.
For a heathen.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
But yeah, it's like why are we doing this? There's certain fundamental principles that teams are built on. And America is supposed to be a team. What we already talked about is one flag. And I missed a couple other flags, right? Because people on the right will do the "Don't Tread on Me" flag, the Gadsden flag. They'll do the.
I think those are in a minority too. Just the same as when we pointed out flags on the left.
Yeah.
That we talked about. There's plenty of other flags that they fly.
Yeah, I'm just saying I wasn't. Yeah, I'm just saying I wasn't. Ones. Yeah, and I'm just saying maybe I wasn't completely fair enough to the people on the left because I had thought about more flags people on the right fly. But I'm sick of all that crap. There's one flag. It represents America. There's one team. It's America. Team America. Fuck yeah. Right? And on a team, people got to contribute. So stop trying to create groups of people that aren't contributing. Like, let's all work together. Let's all contribute. Now, if you're special needs, you don't got to contribute because you contribute in other ways. But all the rest of you, stuck in fucking pony up, right? We go to NATO. We tell all these little shithole countries they got to contribute their 2% of GDP for their defense. Why don't we go tell our little shithole countries that they got to start contributing, right? Like, why are we, like, and don't get me wrong, I'm 100% against everybody paying federal taxes. Like, I have no problem, like, I don't think anybody should. But to create a system where some are and some aren't, you're splitting your team. You're creating negative morale. You're creating a toxic environment. You might as well have hired Shedeur to come in and destroy your team culture.
And the funny thing is, the people who pay the most taxes are the ones who are villainized.
Oh, all day long.
It's crazy.
Eat the rich.
Crazy.
Aerosmith.
But talk about the NATO thing, kind of leading me into the whole Canada election thing. I think one thing that's crazy, and it kind of goes in the same idea of like government spending, is the whole Canada situation. And so, yeah, they had their election this week. But like one thing that I found extra interesting when like looking at it was how little they commit to NATO. Like I think they're at, I believe it was like 1.3% of GDP. So it's well below the goal. And I just find it crazy that they're committing that little to, to their defense spending.
Yeah.
But then they're the ones with the health care and all this, like all these liberal policies.
Yeah.
It's like, how are you affording that? But you can't do what you're supposed to pay on defense.
Yeah.
And they got a plan to like to hit that 2% mark within the next like 10 years. It's like that should be done right now. How are you having all these government programs? You're not doing that. I think the US is at like 3.5% of GDP.
Yeah.
Our GDP is massive compared to Canada.
Absolutely.
And so I don't know exactly, but it's like something like 50 times.
No. It's you loan. A buddy of yours comes and hits you up for money. You loan it to him. And then like a week later, he's showing you a new tattoo he got.
Yeah.
Like,
it's precisely that.
Wait a minute. I thought you needed rent.
And then
well, no, I used your money to pay rent. Well, where the fuck did the money for the tattoo come from?
Well, exactly. And like, that's exactly it. And like,
Trump, not that I'm against tattoos, Abby.
Yeah. But like Trump was like painted as like this bad guy. He's continued to be painted as a bad guy for like talking about, it's like, hey, if you're not paying this amount that we agreed to, like we might
somehow he's turning on our NATO allies.
And it's like, dude, but it's exactly that. It's like, how are you gonna have other like government spending? I'm just saying out Canada because of what I was reading about them, but it's just like, how do you have how are you such a liberal country?
Yeah. Oh, I know how, because you're a zit on our ass.
Well, it's precisely it. Like, talk about free riding. That is like the definition of free riding.
Yeah.
It's like you're supposed to be at 2%.
Oh, no, and it's even worse. It's even worse. It's even worse because you're on our border. So not only do you not have to spend any money on the shit that a country should, right? You get to create a liberal, socialized healthcare system that sucks ass. And the people that can afford to just come south of the border and get there, and they do the whole, what do they call it? Medical tourism. They come to America and they get the things they need here. So they're able to put this shitty healthcare system into place. They're able to fund it with money that they should have been putting towards their defense. And for the people that can't afford to get out of their shitty healthcare system, they just come here and use ours.
Yeah. And then it's also extra shitty because they also get like the best protection out of like every country in the world. Yeah. Because they're right next to us.
Ain't nobody messing with Canada.
And we're spending almost $1 trillion a year. And I think they're like in the couple tens of billions. In fact, I'm going to look it up real quick.
I thought they funded their whole military off maple syrup. And Canadian bacon that nobody likes.
See, out of curiosity, it's going to be pretty wild. But it's just crazy. And it's also just crazy to me that like when Trump calls something like this out, he's painted as a bad guy. And it's like, how the hell else are you going to get countries to pay for stuff?
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's amazing shit.
And then the U.S. is like just supposed to be like the guardian for the entire world.
Of course, yeah,
it's crazy, and we're paying.
But we're supposed to leave them all alone.
And if we paid our 2%, it would be saving us hundreds of billions. Like for Canada, they'd have to pay more to hit their target. For us to hit the target, we could be saving hundreds of billions of dollars per year, every year.
But what the hell's the point of NATO?
Nothing good for us.
No.
It's a liability for us.
Well, of course it's a liability, but NATO is just another example of an entity or an organization getting created at a point in which there is a need. The need is gone. And yet you can't shut it down. And this is the case with so many different departments within the federal government and probably even state governments. But you can't convince me that Russia is a threat to Europe at this point.
Yeah. And you can't even take over Ukraine.
You can't take over Ukraine. And Europe is paying you billions for fuel. If you were a threat, right?
Yeah, they wouldn't be doing any business.
If I live next door to you and I'm constantly attacking you, would you keep coming over my garage sale to buy my shit?
Definitely not.
No, you wouldn't. You can't tell me that Russia's a threat to Europe while Europe buys all their natural gas from Russia.
I think it's to the tune of like hundreds of billions.
Oh, it is.
Could be wrong.
It's billions. I don't think it's. I thought it was like 26 billion a year or something.
It could be.
Now,
Either way, anything with a B is too much.
It's too much. Now, along the energy lines, did you see? I don't know if this is on your stack of stuff, but did you see Spain announce that they hit 100% for like 4 hours or one day, or they hit 100% energy usage off of what they call green, clean energy, solar, wind, and hydro.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah. So just this month, Spain hit 100% on that. 6 days later, the largest blackout in recorded history.
Not surprising.
And the best part is they blamed it on rare atmospheric, whatever. Like this is a rare atmospheric. What, the wind stopped? The cloud went over the sun? What was your rare atmospheric condition that caused the largest blackout in Spain's history?
Yeah, that's just goofy.
I just thought that shit was awesome. They need to go buy more natural gas from Russia.
To help them out. So, numbers on NATO here. And this is just a quick ChatGPT search, so sometimes it's off a little bit.
Yeah, we got to start doing this. Every time you need to look something up, you just give me the sign and I'll just talk about some random shit that has nothing to do with anything.
So, again, this might be a little bit off because this number sounds like maybe a little bit higher than what I remember, but it's showing the U.S. defense budget being just under $1 trillion at $997 billion for 2024. And to put that in perspective, that would be 66% of NATO's total defense spending. And that's also 3.4% of our GDP. So our GDP is much bigger in Canada. So Canada, they contribute 1.37% of their GDP, which ends up being $30.6 billion. And that ends up being 1.5% of NATO's total. Yeah. And yeah, their goal for hitting the 2% mark is 2032.
That's the year we run out of Social Security, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just like we could completely fund Social Security if we just because if we put 2% in, I'm just doing quick math off the top of my head. Basically, we'd be saving hundreds of billions of dollars. Like Social Security, we'd be like, we could pay out so much more in Social Security if we just contributed how much NATO's supposed to spend. And it's just like that part's just wild to me because people are advocating for, we want socialized health care, we want better Social Security benefits. It's like, well, if we didn't have freaking NATO, we wouldn't have to worry about this. Granted, we'd still be spending probably a pretty similar amount because we want to have a strong military for good reason. But
I mean, who's going to fight the Houthis if we don't have a $1 trillion military?
But like, if we had in a different world, and say we had some super friendly country out there that could just protect us, and we could do 1.3%.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, then in that case, okay, let's go ahead and do socialized healthcare because we'd have so much freaking money, it wouldn't even matter. And we'd have so much money, it's like Social Security. Let's raise the benefits. Let's do this and that. Then all of a sudden, the liberal utopia might make a little more sense. But yeah, until then, which is never going to happen. This shit's never going to happen.
Well, I think a better place to get the money from would be the educational budget in America. We spend more if you take all the state education budgets from property taxes, combine that with the federal amount on Department of Education, and it exceeds what we spend on the military.
Yeah.
And we have,
because I know the DOE has been trillions of dollars.
Yeah.
Trillions.
And is that in your stack of stuff? The Douglas High School in Chicago?
It is. We could talk about that, and that is a pretty wild situation, dude.
Yeah, I came up with this one, Abby.
It's not even like, because the Douglas High School is like Douglas Academy High School. That's one thing. The broader issue is just Chicago as a whole, and just education as a whole.
And the governor of Illinois is trying to make a bid to become the face of the Democrat Party. Did you hear his speech just trashing Trump?
It was awesome. Trash. That's crazy. But this is inexcusable because you sent me that article about Douglas High School.
Yeah. This is good stuff.
And so Douglas Academy High School in Chicago, and I might not even start there, but I will actually. So it's a high school in Chicago. It's got 35 students.
Oh, 35. I had it at 28.
And I'm sure like 28 might have been accurate a year ago or something like that. Or,
Yeah, okay.
you know, it's because this is based off 2023, 2024. So it could be 28.
It might be down now.
But that's at 4% utilization.
4% because it was built for 900 students from what I heard.
912.
912 students. It has 35.
And so this is where it gets crazy.
So what are they spending per student?
So just on like site-based expenditures, because there's a couple numbers.
Okay.
So on site-based expenditures, so it's just like the school itself, I think pay, this and that. They're paying over $68,000.
68,000.
But then you factor in like stuff like teacher
I heard it was
benefits,
93.
pension. Yeah, it's over 93.7.
$93,700 per student.
Yeah,
per student.
per student
How
at the
many
school.
staff are at the school?
So it's 23 full-time staff.
Okay, maybe I had the numbers backwards.
But-
because I know the teachers union is trying to hire 8 more.
Well, that's where it gets extra crazy is that the teachers, and this is so government, dude. And teachers union, I call it
I
government
hate it,
because it's
yeah.
bloat.
How do we have a union that represents people against the kids, against the product?
It's
against
bad.
the customer.
Oh, dude, it's bad because this just like it. Douglas High School. This is not even the bad part. It gets bad because
This isn't the
union.
bad part yet.
No, and I'm just going to completely out of order what I got here. But
Sorry.
no, this is good. So the teachers union is trying to add. It's a completely arbitrary, like 8 teachers, or not even teachers. I should say faculty.
Yeah.
To each of these schools, including underutilized schools, and a lot of these schools are underutilized. This is pretty extreme. This is 4% utilization.
Yeah.
But as we'll get into, like this is like not unusual. Like these schools, a lot of these schools are completely underutilized.
No, but hang on, right? If there is a almost 1-to-1 faculty to student ratio, and you're spending $93,000 a year, which is that Harvard?
You would think so.
Harvard level spending. I'm guessing these are like national baccalaureate kids with full rides to Ivy League and MIT. They're winning spelling bees and chess competitions and debate competitions, and they're right. Am I right about that?
They might be on the other end of the spectrum. So academic performance. So in the 11th grade, granted, that's only like 10 people, but 0% of their 11th graders are proficient in reading or math.
Wait, zero. Not a soul.
Not one.
Not a soul is proficient in reading or math
And
for $93,000 a year. Do you think we could apply? I think all 3 of us should go apply to be. What if we all cut that, guys? Would we take like $50,000 a year to teach a Zoom class on how to read to,
I think they might
to
pay
10
more
kids?
than that, dude. I think they pay more, which is crazy. Just because
Sounds like a pretty good gig.
And union, it definitely's got to be a good gig. And what's extra funny is that. So one of the issues, and this goes with a lot of the Chicago schools, is how absent a lot of these students are. So 64% at this Douglas Academy High School are chronically absent.
Wait, 64% of the 35?
Yeah. So I mean, this is a small sample size. Chronically absent. So like, yeah.
Like 10 are showing up.
But and then 50%,
11 or 12.
50% of teachers also had 10 or more absences.
So nobody's coming.
Even the teachers are struggling.
Nobody's coming. Teachers aren't coming. The kids aren't coming. Nobody can read. Nobody can write. We're burning $93,000 a year ahead.
But what's pretty funny? Let's see.
It's like a liberal wet dream.
It gets so bad. I'm going to save some of the good stuff for later. But yeah, going off like the utilization. So obviously, the school is not fully utilized. It's only 4%.
Fully utilized. It's
But
not even.
58% of Chicago public schools are underutilized. It's 275 out of 474 are underutilized. And 5% are overcrowded, and then only 37% are at an ideal capacity. And what's funny about it is the schools that have by far the best results are the overcrowded ones. Granted, it's only 24 schools, but those have like the best, and it's still pretty pathetically bad.
Yeah.
Like I want to say the 10 most overcrowded schools are an average 137% capacity, so they're pretty full. The numbers are still pretty bad. It's pretty bad. So these schools are performing the best out of all Chicago, but the reading proficiency is 46% at those schools for reading, Math is 36%. But those numbers sound pretty horrible if you ask me. But compared to the district average, the district average for reading is 26%, and then math is 17%. Imagine having like your whole average being only 17% for math proficiency.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad. But what gets extra bad is that you start talking about this teachers union and some of the stuff that they're advocating for. So like we said, staff, and what's included on some of the staff is some stuff that makes sense. Maybe not at Douglas High School where you only have 30 students, but you got librarians, social workers. But then there's a couple other ones I saw. This might not be at every school, but they are looking at having like basically like LGBTQ advocates coming into work. I would hope not at Douglas High School. You only got like 35 kids. Maybe like 2 of them were gay. But
no, not the most recent generation. Half of them are.
Yeah, maybe.
There's like Demi, whatever.
Something, bro.
Yeah, there's so many variations. Everybody's on a spectrum now.
But that's not even like where it gets bad, to be honest. So this proposal that the teachers union is proposing.
Yeah.
So the 8 staffers is part of the proposal, but the total proposal is a total of 1.7. I think the proposal itself is 1.7 billion, or maybe that's what they're paying. But there's some stuff in there that is just like stupid. So you get all those numbers that we just talked about, how bad these students are.
Yeah.
There's stuff. So one of the proposals within it is $2,000 stipends for approximately 5,000 asylum seekers. So these are people seeking asylum.
Yeah,
they're
so
getting $2,000
they're illegal
stipend.
aliens.
Yeah,
And the teachers union is trying to get the school district to pay $2,000 a head.
Yeah,
for 5,000 of them.
Yeah, so that's $10 million. And that's supposed to be a one-time cost. But that's pretty crazy in itself.
What the heck for?
And so you're spending $10 million when you got like a district math proficiency of 17%.
Yeah,
pretty wild. And then what's also wild is some of this other stuff. So another thing that they're having, and this is on the faculty side, but mandatory coverage for basically fat loss surgery and then weight loss medications.
What?
On their health plan. So it's mandatory.
For teachers or the kids?
Well, this for the teachers. But the thing is like, but this is like fully covered. So
I'm all for making America skinny again. I don't know if you've flown Southwest recently.
These are surgeries.
But like
a liposuction.
There's like 30 giant fatties that get to be pre-boarded before you.
I think teachers are supposed to be fat. And so I think like the estimated cost is in the millions.
This is the one government welfare program I'm for. I think everybody should get access to Ozempic. It should be once you go over like what's the BMI? What's a good BMI? You're a bodybuilder. What's a good BMI?
BMI is irrelevant. Body fat may be a better measure.
Oh, okay, 20%.
Yeah, 20%.
All right, once you hit 20%, it's automatically mandatory forced vaccine. We just call it. So look, to make it if you're
it's a vaccine. 20% it's pretty lean.
Okay, hey, we like lean girls, don't we? I mean, I do. All right, so here's the deal, right? We call it a vaccine. We changed Ozempic. It's a fat vaccine. We're going to vaccinate you against being a fat ass. And now once you hit 20%, it's mandatory vaccinations. And if you're ugly, face masks go back on. Until you're skinny and attractive again, I'm getting behind that government program.
That's fair. I guess we'll keep the students stupid for a little longer.
Oh yeah, I mean,
And then another couple things are just stupid wastes of money. But I don't have an estimate on costs. But they want to get rid of like their buses, or at least replace them with electric buses. It's like why is like all of a sudden a green initiative part of your teachers union proposal in a district that has the most pathetic numbers I didn't even know were possible.
Oh, wow. Is there a school bus that's electric that could make a route? I mean, don't get me wrong. I drive a Tesla. Huge fan.
I'm all for it. It's just like
they're wildly damaging the environment, but it's the fastest thing on the road and it drives itself.
Yeah. But in my opinion, like just one thing I think is so stupid is when, and it happens. This happens, I guess, in teachers unions, but definitely in politics and Congress, where like things are lumped into bills and whatever that.
Yeah. It's just
Like
it's
the
all
inflation,
Democrat,
the Inflation
wet dream
Reduction
shit.
Act.
Yeah,
Is like a prime example.
It had nothing to do with
or
reducing
or
inflation.
their border bill was a prime example.
Yeah. They name it one thing and they do something completely different.
Like that border bill. Luckily, it didn't go through, but like it had all this funding, like hundreds of billions for other countries.
Yeah.
Namely Ukraine.
Yeah.
But
what does that have to do with our border?
yeah, and the border was like a fraction of it. It was
Yeah.
20 billion, as opposed to it was like over 100 billion
Yeah.
total. And so that was stupid. Inflation Reduction Act was stupid, where they were also filling in a bunch of like hundreds of billions of dollars of green initiatives. And it's like, if you want to push stuff like that, if the teachers union wanted, if Congress wanted like the green new, like the all this green new policies, it's like, if that's what you believe in, you can push for it, but at least like be honest about it and like don't tie it into something like this. So that's my biggest issue. Like,
Well, I don't think be honest about it is 3 words that will ever occur in Washington.
Probably not. But it just crazy to me. Like I think the electric bus is kind of dumb. But if they want it, sure, they can go for it. But like maybe like do that separately.
Look,
don't put that in the same proposal.
You know, it'd be even better. Look, scrap the buses, issue every kid a bicycle, and let them all ride to school.
There we go, and give the teachers ones too.
And
that way you get rid of the fat.
The
fat
fat.
problem.
You solve the fat and fix the environment all at the same time. And for all the kids, the 30% that show up, that's their PE credit.
There we go.
Boom. Look at us fixing Chicago's public school system.
Dude, and we're saving like $100 million right
And we're
there.
making the world more attractive.
Wow, look at us.
Yeah.
And then
Which along the lines of the fat problem, did you know that, they always claim that we have this, the highest birth mortality rate in America, like for women who are giving birth, we have the highest mortality rate of all like developed countries.
Interesting.
67% morbidly obese is the rate at which women are giving birth in America today.
Morbidly obese is terrifying.
It's just, we have this massive fat pandemic.
You don't want to be morbidly obese. You don't want to be morbidly anything.
No, but we have this huge fat pandemic and it's causing massive health issues. And clearly people are having a hard time getting to school because they're so fat.
And then kind of going on.
And it's why I can't go into Lululemon anymore. They put up giant posters of fat girls in sportswear.
You gotta walk out of there.
I can't handle it. I don't want to be looking at that shit. Come on. And then they have a thing about how she's in charge of their running program. It's like, that, like you're like running. Yeah. They have this picture of this huge fat black lady in like a sports bra and like leggings, and she's their running advocate or whatever they call that. Like somebody that's like it's right up on the wall, Lululemon. I'm just going, like what? Run into the fridge?
Yeah, stuff like that's just stupid virtue signaling.
Yeah.
Signaling. Let's see here. I'm trying to find the exact data on here. I feel like I got it somewhere, but basically, I don't know if I have it on here, but I remember off the top of my head though, was basically since 2012, like spending for the CPS, so like the Chicago public schools, has gone up some like 97%. So basically doubled.
Yeah.
And then proficiency in like math and reading are down like 40, 50, 60% or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's just like crazy to me. Like, how are you going to, like, how is it possible to like double your funding?
Well, I'm pretty sure Illinois' whole budget doubled.
Yeah. And
the whole state.
The school in general, though, the public schools, at least in Chicago, was up like, I think 97%.
Yeah.
And this is since 2012.
Yeah.
Which is not that long. That's not even a decade and a half. And then you get basically your proficiency scores cut in half.
Yeah.
And apparently they weren't even that good to begin with.
Of course they weren't Chicago.
So it's just crazy to me. It'd be one thing to have bad scores and not have funding. But like, how do you have that much funding and have that bad of results? Like even if you have like the worst parents in the world, even if you got parents not making their kids go to school, it's like, bro, like it's like to be proficient, proficient is like not even like a big ask. Like you don't have to excel, just be proficient. And they're at 17% for math right now. And 199 schools, I think it was like a total of 473 in Chicago. 199 schools have less than 10% proficiency in reading and math. Less than 10.
Wow.
Just like crazy. Crazy. Doesn't even make sense to me. But part of it definitely falls onto, I think, parenting for sure, which I think ultimately is one of the biggest culprits here. And I get it, but I don't. Like chronic absenteeism, granted, I think officially chronic absenteeism is like maybe like you miss school 10% or more of the time. That's still quite a bit, but over 40% of students district-wide are chronically absent, which is not a good number. Like there's like double the amount of students that are chronically absent than the students that are proficient. Like more than double. Like that's their only good number they got, but then you realize that number is supposed to be low. So not good. It's pretty bad.
Right. Well, that was an entertaining one. I like that topic.
Yeah. It's just mind-boggling is what it is.
It is. And I hate the public educational system, so I'm always willing to shit on it.
Yeah. That's particularly bad.
Chicago makes it easy.
And the only other thing I had was just, I know we've been going for quite a while, but was the Canada election.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I love this, by the way. I absolutely love this. Just because I'm a like burn it all down kind of guy.
Yeah, so that was going on this past week, just a couple of days ago.
So do you have the stats on the swing from the Conservatives were up by a significant margin? Trump gets elected, starts referring to Canada as the 51st state.
Yeah, what I like using
renames maple syrup to American syrup. No, I'm kidding. He didn't do that one, but he should have.
What I really like using, I'm gonna pull it up, is Polymarket. So the betting website.
Yeah,
and it was fantastic. It was fantastic for the 2024 election. I'm seeing if I could pull up. It's kind of hard looking up now that it's over.
Yeah, but Trump literally, and I just think this is hilarious, right? It's like the tariffs and all of his smack talk and Colin Trudeau, Governor Trudeau, literally shifted Canadians. Like, how are you so easily manipulated? Like you just went hard in the paint to the other side. You were all in the tank for the Conservative Party. They were up by a wide margin. And then what? You get pissy about Trump, a guy in another country, so you fuck yourself?
Pretty much.
I mean, that's literally the only rationale for what happened.
Yeah. So put in perspective, Pierre Poilievre, the conservative candidate in this case.
Polyester.
Yeah.
Polyvoix.
So at the start
Some guy's name we can't say.
At January 1st, so start of this year, dude, he was at 88%.
Yeah.
And this is betting odds. And betting odds are like I would say the most accurate thing you can get.
Yeah.
Just wild. And then around just like a month and a half ago, March 19th is where things flipped. And then Carney really started taking over.
Yep.
And then going up into election day, he was at around a 78% or 78% chance. And then things got a little bit closer, 70%. And then, he won it.
Yeah.
And it's pretty.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious.
Pretty crazy. I don't think Trump cares at all.
Oh, no way. No, really? Yeah. Like, I just love it when people get what they deserve. Right? If you're willing to allow another country's leader to shift you that hard, like, were you really worried about electing somebody that was going to like make you the 51st state of America?
Yeah.
Right? You were worried that the conservative person was going to what? Just take it on the tariff issue? Like, what exactly was it like that you thought that, because they were hard in the paint for the Paul Revere, Poilievre, whatever dude.
Yeah, I mean, he was likely to win, and they had a huge margin in the polls.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny. And, of course, politicians will be politicians, but Mark Carney, the Liberal Party leader and the Prime Minister of Canada.
His speech was so ridiculous.
But he definitely takes a firm stance against Trump. But the funny thing is, he takes a firm stance against, like, the Canada tariffs.
Yep.
But the funny thing is, again, it's total politics, but, like, where and what and who and where and when. There's no leverage at all for Canada. Like, none.
No.
And we're by far their biggest trading partner. Like, not even close. I think, I could be wrong. Don't quote me on this, but I think it was like 70% or 75% of their exports come to us.
Of course.
And their second is like China, but like that's a fraction of what they, ship to us.
Yeah.
And so I don't understand how they think they have any kind of leverage on us at all. And we're also the biggest consuming country by far on the entire planet. And so it's just hilarious to see him like take such a strong stance, and like I think he was talking about doubling down, like just like standing firm on their tariffs, and not. I think Polyev was more in favor of going 0 for 0 tariffs.
Yeah.
Whereas Carney is more in favor. He's like, we're not going to drop them.
Yeah.
It's like you're
gonna
hurting yourself.
Yeah.
Like you'd be better off just dropping the tariffs on both sides, and it realistically be more of a win-win. But like it hurts them probably 50 times more than it hurts us.
Oh yeah.
Even though we do import a lot from China or from Canada.
Yeah.
So they are one of our bigger trading partners because they're right next to us.
Yeah.
But
ultimately,
it
they
doesn't hurt us.
have the largest supply of people from East India. Entries.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's probably a joke that could get us in trouble, but whatever.
Yeah. Maybe. A lot of our jokes do.
I'm just saying that's where a lot of our VA medical staff comes from.
That's fair.
So
That's fair.
that's why I don't go to the VA, but whatever.
So yeah, I think it's pretty funny. So the way Canada's elections works are a little bit different than the US.
Yeah. This is one thing I like about them, right? Because the other, they didn't win by enough to have total control. They're going to have to work with a minority party.
Yeah, they were close, but ultimately they basically win because Canada's got multiple parties.
Yeah.
They got like five.
You out of here,
five
Abby?
parties.
What class do you got? Oh, Wendy's. Normally, Abby always goes
Wendy's
does
the
a
food or what?
hit class. Of,
Thinks I go to Wendy's.
who does?
Her phone.
Oh, your car. Is it Pilates? Is it a hit? Pilates.
Very
All right.
nice.
So every Thursday it thinks I go to Wendy's.
That's hilarious. All right.
Well, have fun.
See ya. See you tomorrow. Enjoy your class.
Rudy's tomorrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically, even without the majority, they're pretty close. So they have, in order to have, so for Canada, they have 343 seats. They need 172 for majority. I think they won 169. Conservatives won 144, and then all these other parties won the rest. And but pretty much every other party that's not conservative is like liberal to some extent. So like they're going to be liberal, and for better or for worse, they're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, Canada's been liberal for a long time.
Yeah, very liberal country, and their elections are different because you don't vote for your prime minister; you vote for your local representative, and then whoever that representative represents, whoever wins, ultimately counts towards the prime minister. I mean, so it kind of works out that way.
Like the electoral college kind of like thing.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like as if we're voting for a representative in the House, and that vote would go towards.
Yeah. The president's
So for better or for worse, that's what they do. And so Liberal Party won, and
Yeah, and I got a call I got to take.
it is what it is.
My son's car accident, car totaled, but
Sweet.
yeah. All right.
You want to call there?
Yeah, let's call it. I thought this was a pretty good day today.
I agree.
Thank you for putting all that together,
Of
Nathaniel.
course.
And until next week, this is Elliot
Nathaniel?
signing off. See you guys.